Every year, someone brings up the notion that we don't actually know what the Monster Mash looks or sounds like. But this is the year we figure it out once and for all. They did the mash. They did the Monster Mash. Famous lyrics from arguably the most famous Halloween song ever written. But what exactly is the Monster Mash? Well, we know it's a dance because they did the mash. But we also know it's a song because they also played the mash. Unfortunately, the Monster Mash song that we know give us very few details about the Monster Mash song that we don't know, as this is a third-person retelling of the evening that the Monster Mash occurred on from the perspective of a hardworking doctor doing totally ethical science.
Yes, that's exactly right. This guy gets it. You get it.
And if we don't know the song, how could we possibly know the dance? Since the only TikToks from back in that day were the sounds of a heart beating under the floorboards.
Here! It is the beating of this hideous heart!
This wouldn't be so much of a mystery if we had a music video to go along with this, but alas, we do not. All we have is a video of Bobby Pickett singing this song in a unsettling yet hypnotizing way. This song was released in 1962, almost a full 20 years before the art of the music video would be popularized by MTV. Long before MTV was the go-to place for ridiculousness and the occasional Will Ferrell movie, it was the place to watch music videos. For you see, children, the M in MTV stood for music. Ah, yes. Back in my day, if you wanted to watch a music video,
you had to tune into a specific channel at a specific time, probably TRL, which stood for Total Request Live. You would call in and ask for your song to be played, and chances are, it wouldn't be played, because they only had an hour, and they had to play new music videos too. I remember one fateful day coming home from school and watching the music video for Somewhere I Belong by Linkin Park, and then seeing those monsters and being like, wow, what monsters? If you miss it on TRL, you could probably catch it on the countdown, but like bands like Linkin Park, they were at the back half, because that's where the bad kids were. Up at the front, you had the upstanding citizens, your Robert Kellys, Justin Timberlakes, Puff Daddies, making good, wholesome R&B music. Later on, there might even be a movie on. Maybe Air Bud, produced by the Weinstein Corporation. Ah, the wholesome company led by Harvey Weinstein.
Moving on, there might not have been a music video release for the song, but there was a music movie released in 1995 based off the 1967 stage musical, also written by Bobby Pickett. Now the song is called Monster Mash, and the movie is called Monster Mash, so naturally the stage musical is called Sorry the Bridge is Out, You'll Have to Stay the Night. And yes, there is a song in there called Sorry the Bridge is Out, You Have to Stay the Night. Unfortunately, the movie for our cause here today is so not helpful, as it takes place long after the events of the Monster Mash have occurred, just like what happens in the song. And just like in the song, they deal with the topic of the Monster Mash for the exact same duration. The rest of the plot deals with horny monsters, cabaret songs, and a mummy that's also Elvis. Imagine Beetleborgs minus the Beetleborgs and starring DJ Tanner, and you have a good idea what this movie is.
Now they're Beetleborgs.
So we're back to the song to decipher the other song, and the first two verses give us nothing. It's just a couple couplets of AABB rhyming stating,
I was walking in a lab late one night, when my eyes beheld an eerie sight. For my monster from his slab began to rise, and suddenly, to my surprise, he did the Monster Mash.
what the f*** are we supposed to do with this? It's just a guy writing in his journal about his monster dancing? Also, how do you know it was dancing? Are you sure he wasn't just doing that thing that frogs' legs do when you sprinkle a little salt on them? Since your whole science is basically just this by stapling body parts together? Not to mention, kind of rude calling him a monster. He didn't choose to exist in this form. You did this. You're the monster. Even more monstrous, why is he called Frankenstein? This song takes place from the perspective of a guy named Boris. Shouldn't it be Boris's monster? Unless he's Boris Frankenstein? The song is not clear at all about this, and that's probably the most upsetting part.
Of the Transylvania Frankensteins?
No, the Hyannisport Frankenstein.
The second verse is even less helpful because all it does is introduce us to more You know what? I'm not using the M word anymore. Calling the Winchesters because I'm referring to them as supernaturals. The second verse introduces us to more supernatural beings with the lines,
From my laboratory in the castle east to the master bedroom where the vampires feast, the ghouls all came from their humble abodes to get a jolt from my electrodes.
I suppose we do get some valuable information, which is that these ghouls are kind of freaky. I always thought a ghoul was like a type of ghost, so I didn't know you could like attach an electrode to it. But it turns out ghouls are a type of evil grave robber. So they've been freaky. It's not until the end of the third verse that we actually get anything of substance.
The scene was rocking, and all were digging the sounds. Eagle on chains, backed by his baying hounds. The coffin bangers were about to arrive with their vocal group, the Crypt Kicker 5.
Not to be confused with the band that Bobby Pickett plays this song with, which is the Crypt Kickers. No 5. Completely different. The article on Rocklopedia Fake Bandica gives us very low information on the type of music that the Crypt Kicker 5 plays, but they're referred to as a vocal band, so we can assume it's a type of a cappella. And these a cappellas don't get introduced to us until the end of the third verse, so I think it's pretty safe to assume that this song doesn't have lyrics in it. Just because there's singers involved eventually doesn't mean they need to be there. It's just a fun addition, like a rapper singing over a Fleur-de-Lis sample. Before they arrive, most of the party's already dancing away to this jam. The only person to join in after is Dracula, and what Dracula says in this song, I think does confirm the instrumental nature of it.
Out from his coffin, Dracula's voice did ring. Seemed like he was troubled by just one thing. Opened the lid and he shook his fist and said, "Whatever happened to my Transylvania twist? It's now the Monster Mash, and it's a graveyard smash."
How is that at all helpful, you might ask? Well, Bobby Pickett, the person who wrote the Monster Mash, also wrote a song called The Transylvania Twist. Turns out he has more than one song, which means we actually have a very good idea what this song sounds like. It's not particularly long, clocking in at only 1:35, and I can't really play it here for copyright reasons, but maybe I can get away with like 2 seconds of it. There you go. There might not be any lyrics, but there is a bit of chatter that goes on throughout the song. The intro is Dracula playing this for Boris, and halfway through, Frankenstein hears it too, which means the two main characters in the Monster Mash have heard this song, and they like it, which they confirm by saying they like it. This song in the context of the Monster Mash can easily be stretched out. As soon as the Crypt Kicker 5 shows up, they start jazzing out. Next thing you know, it's 32 minutes long and you think you're listening to The Doors. Speaking of Dracula, he's also going to be key to us figuring out what the dance looked like, which is the most critical part of the song since they repeatedly tell us that they did the mash and how successful it was. Really bragging about it, Boris. Didn't even come up with it. It was Frankenstein who came up with it. You monster. Let's start at the beginning. The first person to do the mash was Frankenstein's supernatural creation who felt the music coursing through his cold, dead veins compelling him to dance. And that tells us it needs to be simple enough for someone with the non-grace of several corpses stapled together to be able to perform it somewhat competently. I wandered over to my favorite source for learning new dance moves, WikiHow, to see if there was any instructions there. And to my dismay, there wasn't. In over 60 years, no one has compiled instructions on how to do the Monster Mash. I feel like an explorer exploring uncharted territory. And just like most classic explorers, this territory's existed for a long time and people are telling me to go away from it. But just like other explorers, I'm gonna press on. After Frankenstein got up and started dancing, the ghouls came down to get shocked by the doc. Now I don't know if this is supposed to be some kind of like monster caffeine or monster energy drink, if you will, but I do think it gives them some kind of boost. And for the ghouls, I have no problem calling them monsters. You know they don't have noble intentions for the graves they robbed. So from the second verse, we can extrapolate that this is a somewhat frantic movement. As we mentioned earlier, the song is based off of the Transylvania Twist, which itself is more than likely based off of The Twist, a popular dance move in the 60s. So from that, we can gather it has some kind of twisting element to it. The rest of the song is just about everyone having fun and Igor being impetuous.
Mash good! Easy, Igor, you impetuous young boy.
But that does cement an earlier point, because originally I thought impetuous just meant horny, but it doesn't. It also means acting quickly or without care, which, yes, can have a horny connotation, but it also means moving in a frantic manner. So before we put this all together, let's break down the key features, which is, it has to be simple and not require too much flexibility, frantic movements, and have a twisting element. Thanks to the movie, we do know what it looks like.
They did the Monster Mash. Monster Mash. It was a graveyard smash. It caught on in a flash. Monster Mash. They did the Monster Mash.
And there you have the Monster Mash. Thank you for coming on this journey with me. If you enjoyed it, hit the like button, subscribe, maybe send this to your favorite ghoul. Wait, no, don't send this to your favorite ghoul. Send this to your favorite hard-working career gravedigger, or someone who read the book and or watched the movie Holes and was inspired by it. That's closer to the audience I'm trying to foster here. And if you're a ghoul, stop it. Okay, bye now.